back to the MTR Network. This is Kriss, Phenom, and Petty Kruger here. We are here to review Hidden Figures. A team of African American women provide NASA...
Wait, this isn't a Hidden Colors review?
It's not a... Listen, look, dude, when I first saw the title of this movie, I was like, what the fuck, yo? It's Hidden Colors 4? I ain't watching that shit, dog.
I'm here for the Hidden Colors review.
I'm not doing that shit. Nah, dog.
Because if you subtract pi from 3/5, nigga, then you understand racism.
Hey, I actually recommended we do those damn documentaries for docu drunks.
No, nobody wants to do your torture porn YouTubing. Okay? Nobody. Nobody wants to sit and watch all 27 volumes of Hidden Colors.
I thought it was just like a PowerPoint slide.
A nigga slide?
Or just a whole slew of PowerPoint slides with nothing but wrong.
No, it is like actual footage and old black men who talk like they have degrees giving you the education.
It's Hotep geometry and some
doing
shit,
all the wrong words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that the Damon Wayans character who was in prison that hooked on phonics bit from Living
If it
Color.
was that, it'd be more interesting. If it was the parolee dude, it'd be more interesting.
I'm mad there's 3 of them, yo. That's the thing that gets me. It's like, Hidden Colors 3. Like, there's 2 more? The fuck?
Yeah. They had a lot to say with such little minds.
I'm really disappointed in this. But yeah, we're not doing that. It's Hidden Figures. A team of African American women provide NASA with important mathematical data needed to launch the program's first successful space mission. It's directed by Theodore Melfi, and it stars Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, Janelle Monáe, and who the fuck else?
Your boy with the long ass name, Ali. I just call him Ali at this point.
Ali at this point?
The name too long.
Kevin Costner and who the fuck else? Like,
Remy.
Mahershala Ali. Yeah, okay.
I call him Ali. I don't even try to say all that.
Aldous Hodge. You're right.
Ali.
You know what it is,
That's
man?
the guy from Luke Cage?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? He's in this. I actually forgot he was in this film. And that's not even saying it's bad or anything like that. It's just, the film's not about him, yo. It's about the 3 black women. Yeah.
I wanted to see that Biggie portrait behind him.
I'm not gonna lie. Him not being a bad guy was just kind of off-putting a little bit, yo. I was like, yo, there's gotta be something.
Yeah.
There's gotta be some to him, right? He's selling drugs.
Oh no, he was trying to invade that pussy.
See,
he was on a mission.
See, here we go.
He got in there though.
See, here we go. It's gonna be that kind of shit. It's actually very timing that we're doing this because just because how fucked up, but John Glenn
passed away.
He did die today.
That was very not Petty Kruger of you to say passed away. You usually are a little bit more harsher than that.
What would she say? Short circuited? What would her terminology be?
I don't know, but he's usually a little bit more blunt.
Cold.
Yeah, there we go.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, he didn't die in space.
Somebody sent out a tweet about him dying that was very revolutionary that I thought was dope. Shout out to him for relying on the mathematics of a black woman to put him on the moon or something like that.
That's pretty
much
much
put him
it.
in space.
So, like I said, all these other male characters in this film, the only characters that really matter are Catherine Johnson, played by Taraji, Dorothy Vaughan, played by Octavia, and Mary Jackson, played by Janelle. I guess the fourth and more important character of the film is Al Harrison, Kevin Costner's character.
He is a pivotal character as far as Taraji's story is concerned. Yeah. And then you got to count old boy from Big Bang because I don't know what other films he's been in.
Well, so that's Jim Parsons. The problem, he plays Paul Stafford. The problem with his character is like he's just there to be
petty.
He's there to be literally the petty racist white guy. Yeah, racist.
He's white and petty.
You can't even tell. I couldn't even tell if he was racist or sexist or both. Like it.
No, he was definitely racist.
Okay.
He was definitely racist.
He was definitely something. He was something.
He was. I'm just gonna assume any white man who treats black women like they don't know how to do anything is both sexist and racist.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you're going to be able to explain that it's not because she's a woman, it's because she's black in that situation.
Yeah. He was pretty much just
and vice versa.
The racist, serious version of his character from Big Bang.
Right.
So
he was Sheldon.
Yeah.
0.5 because this was in the past Sheldon.
Racist soul.
He wasn't a full version yet.
Right. Racist Sheldon. Yeah. Basically.
Sheldon, civil rights Sheldon. That's what he was.
Civil rights list Sheldon, yo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it focused on these three women. I know one of the things that Petty kept doing, like literally every 5 minutes of the film, is she would lean over and say, "Yo, does this really happen?"
I would say, like, fact or fiction.
Right.
Because there is so much fantastical shit that could have been factual, but the way it was played was like,
It's a film, ma'am, not a documentary. Like, they're not gonna have her ancestors sitting in the chair and going, "Why I tell you about that day? That was a day that day." Like, there wasn't one of them. It was an actual film. You got to put some oomph into it. I mean, legit. None of those songs were old timey songs. Like, Pharrell sang every song to the soundtrack since he produced it. My man was singing all of the "Get Your Smart Black Woman Ass Back to the Office" songs throughout this whole movie.
Listen,
I've never heard so many civil versions of Happy.
Yeah.
I just want to say that the real MVP of this movie are Taraji P. Henson's shoes. This whole film. Because she damn sure had to run to and fro from her office to the colored bathroom on the other side of the damn freaking base that
what
they
did
were
she say?
on.
That was 4 miles or something?
Like 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, it wasn't no damn 4 miles. It was.
I'd say she would have been gone for like 4 hours.
Yeah, but yeah, no, those things were always funny to me. I think there's something that we talked about in the car. Like I said, this is a really good film. All right, I do think that the film might have served a better purpose if it just focused on Katherine Johnson, because it does. Well, I feel like it could have been 3 separate films, because I think Katherine Johnson has her own story, and that's the main focus of this film. She's the main star. Dorothy Vaughan has her own part, and then to a lesser extent, Mary Jackson does. But they each have their own important arcs in this film. But Vaughn's and Jackson's are smaller, and they could be interesting towards themselves. They're just not fully fleshed out. You do get the beginning, middle, and end, but it's kind of like they're just kind of there versus
they're different. They're different films about race struggles. Like they're 3 different films about struggle of being black and struggle of being black women. If you really think about it that way, like Taraji's story was about being the smartest person in the room, and having to earn every inch of leniency they gave her to display that. Octavia Spencer's story was about, trying to create a space and keep it going for black women
and stay relevant
out in the workforce. To me, that's a completely different film. And then Janelle Monáe's character was about her film would have been about blacks in general not being provided the same institutions to acquire the validity to require the validity to even be entertained to even be entertained to take jobs at certain fields.
Yeah, because she goes.
Despite her intelligence,
she has to go.
So,
and and that's my point. It's like those other 2 stories could have been their own films. Like, this
they would have had to be if you really want to develop them.
Right. Like, Katherine Johnson's story is completely developed. Dorothy Vaughn's ends up, they're basically about to be, her, one, not being given the position as being a supervisor. The fact that she's, even without being a supervisor, she's literally supervising this group of black women who are literally about to be replaced by a computer.
And nobody knows how to work. And it wasn't just that. It was a story about how she kept these black women ahead.
Well, that's what
which,
yeah.
Which had me in the theater going, are you serious? So black women in the 60s and in the 50s knew Fortran. And now I go to work and it's very rare that I see a black woman in the IT department. That just blows my mind. Like I would love to hear or to listen to a documentary or to watch a documentary about what happened to remove black women from those positions. Because you had black women that were mathematicians, black women that were engineers, and black women that were developers and coders and system operators. Mm-hmm. So what happened? Mm-hmm. Because I've worked in 4 different places. For me, my experience is it is just rare. It's rare to see a woman in IT, let alone a black woman. So I'm just curious of what happened, despite all of the new programs that are developed for millennials now. You know, the black girl coding programs and stuff like that that people are trying to throw into place. Those things were actually in place in the 50s.
Well, that's the thing.
As far as this film is showing, and then they just... Well, I just want to know what happened. I would love to be able to read some stuff or to listen to something that would explain what happened.
Well, that's my point. Like, I think that the film does a disservice to the other 2 women by not focusing on them. Kind of yada yada said. Like, it's just, oh, well, they did this, and it kind of presents a happy ending when I'm like, wait, we know that's not how it went. Like, there's a part in the film that I actually go, it's not really a spoiler, but, cause I mean, come on, it's history. At one point, she teaches the other black women in this thing how to program this computer, and then Dolphin Teeth, Kirsten Dunst, and shout out to Petty.
Did you really just call this woman Dolphin Teeth? She's too old to have dolphin teeth now.
She still has dolphin teeth.
But she still got them.
Right. I mean,
she has aged miraculously.
Listen,
fast.
I didn't know that was Kirsten Dunst until Petty said that's dolphin teeth. Then I looked at her and I saw the dolphin teeth. I was like, "You're right, it is."
Oh, I looked dead at her and I was just like, "She has had many sleepless nights trying to find another role, clearly, because she has aged."
Mm-hmm. Them teeth hasn't though.
Maybe she went all natural like Alicia Keys, and that's why she looked like that.
So, Dolphin Teeth's character, Vivian Michaels, at one point brings
you sound like my shit was worse than calling her Dolphin Teeth, sir.
I'm just saying, this is what they are. They're dolphin teeth. I mean,
I don't need to leave that woman's teeth alone.
Apparently they just have to. So at one point she shows up in the movie with the other white women saying, "Hey, can you teach my girl?" So it's like I want to be like, was that what happened? Did she end up teaching these other white women and then they end up getting wiped out because of that? Like you said, it's just we don't go into that story. Mary Jackson has a whole story.
I mean, she taught IBM. She was the lead programmer,
right,
of Fortran for IBM machines, where they had IBM consultants,
right,
2 white male IBM consultants,
right,
who could not run this machine. I'm looking at this and I'm going, so why aren't there more black women now?
Well, the reason why I want to say racism.
Clearly the white women didn't have to do that. I mean, we've had enough seasons of Mad Men to know exactly why white women have never really made it through the door of technology. But the black woman's story is just different from what we're seeing here. No, I don't know what happened.
I know racism. That's what I assumed. I just assumed that they don't show you that story.
I'm just saying that, like, with racism in place, black women were working behind the scenes at NASA.
Well, I mean, they were
we don't see any black men in these positions. Not to say that there were not black men at the time. That's ludicrous to think that, but we don't. There's absolutely no black man anywhere in these facilities.
Well, I think that's also a
we see.
You got to remember, just like you said at the beginning, this is just a film. So I think that was also done on purpose.
Maybe it was. Maybe it's the whole we fear black men more. We're more scared of having a black man in here than we are having.
I'm saying the film's not accurate. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, then there's that too. Okay.
That's a
'Cause-
effed up line of logic, considering there are 13 Negro males working on the Manhattan Project, getting our first nuclear bombs up and operational.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking the film's just
Don't let
inaccurate.
me be pedantic about these things.
No. I think I think that's what the problem is. I think you can't use this film as historically accurate. Like I just think that's why it's just not accurate. You get into Mary Jackson's character where she's working to be become the first engineer. She has to go to night school. She goes to court to fight to get accepted into the white school. I can't remember what school it was.
Hampton fucking High School. I'm from that area.
Yeah.
So when they were like Hampton High is an all white school, Ashley kind of looked at me and was like, "Isn't that where you're at?" I'm like, "Yes, I got little cousins that go to Hampton High School. Like we played football against Hampton High School. We hung out at Hampton High School." So when I heard that in the film that it was an all white institution, especially for white people taking night classes for colleges that excluded black people.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then there's that. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other black women computers, if you will, that are in that room that don't really they don't even get really names.
No.
So they're there. So again, I think that's, if you're going to go into the faults of the film, I think that's where it's at, is that there's all this focus, and rightfully so, on Katherine Johnson, but there's so much other stuff there that it feels like they tried to throw it all into one film, and I think that's where the film suffers at. Just because, and I would say it's a negative, but it's also a nitpick, because it's like, there's so many black women that you want more information on each one of their stories, which I think is a good problem to have, right? Where the main story is good enough, like the focus on Katherine Johnson, I think is really, really great, but all these other women going over there, like, man, I would really like to know more about that story there, you know?
She deserved a full film.
She did.
She deserved a
Absolutely.
fully fleshed out film. They show us the little childhood sequence, but I would have liked to learn more about her in high school, her going to college, and then how she actually made it all the way to NASA.
Right.
That that was the only part that kind of blew me. I just kept watching the film going, it's a lot of black women at NASA. How did they get into NASA? Like, how did they just get in to become computers? Did white women not want to take the computer jobs? Were white women not qualified? Were white men, did they look down on computers? Like, were computers not important? Because the film made it seem like they were important until it was time to upgrade.
Oh, it made it seem like they were important, but also disposable. And I
they
mean
were
that
contracting them out to like different areas of NASA, and then literally when the job was done, they'd send them back. They put them back on the bench.
Yeah, they were temps essentially.
Yeah, basically. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, they use them, but they use them like a temp to, I don't think that it was as I don't think it was as prestigious in some cases, because they expected to wear them out. Like that was the unique thing about Katherine Johnson, was like when she comes in, they bring her into that program to deal with the rocket. They're basically like, yeah, the last one lasted, lasted a week, so don't expect to be here too long. And it turns out that she's so exceptional at her job, she becomes, irreplaceable. Whereas the other ones,
you think about what they're like saying that these women were doing. These women were verifying and checking the numbers used for all of the statistics that they needed to get these launches together.
Right, but they consider them
that's extremely important. I mean, from my aspect, that is an extremely important role.
Well, yeah,
whether they made it prestigious or not.
Put it this way.
Even what's the name dude from Big Sheldon was letting her know that her shit had already been checked 2 times before they gave it to her.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it's like they're more like they consider them more like proofreaders, if you will. It seemed like to me. So it'd be like, what's more important, the actual writer or the person who goes back behind them and proofreads and edits their stuff? Like, that's what they were treating her as, not realizing that she was good enough to be the originator of the actual.
She could have been
math.
the calculator.
Right.
I mean, she could have been the mathematician, which is what she was.
So that's I think that's the difference. That was the difference there. Like they literally consider these women, just there doing. They didn't really respect the work of a computer. They consider them just to be like you would your calculator and not that you would actually see beyond. Like what did at one point Kevin Costner's character even says that to her and says, I don't need somebody in here who can basically do the math we know. I need somebody who can see beyond the numbers. I need somebody who can see the math that doesn't exist yet, that we go from there. He needed somebody more than just a computer. But that's what they were getting before.
What kills me is he's saying this to her. In a room full of mathematicians, you're saying this to your computer.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's Betty, did you ever look that up? Like how progressive was this Al Harrison? Because there were several times in the film I'm like, what this white man really is?
Yeah, I did no further fact checking other than the fact that Katherine Johnson is an AKA. I'm gonna not be bitter about that. 'Cause I thought she was a Delta.
I just don't. His character confused me.
Yeah, I don't know.
He confused me because he realized how important she was and how crucial she was to the project, and how she essentially was the only reason that they even figured out how to sustain orbital, the orbital rotations, for him to be able to come back into Earth and land. And yet, when it was time for her to go, he was like, "Sorry, my hands are tied." You in like 3 scenes before this, which is in the trailer, you disbanded separation of bathrooms throughout all of NASA. Mm-hmm. But when your best calculator / mathematician, when her contract is up, you were like, "Sorry, my hands are tied." Yeah. I think I understand why they did that. It was supposed to be like a climax moment of,
you know what it is? I figured it out. I found
that's a cheap.
I figured it out. He's a fictional character.
He's not real.
He's not real. That's what it is.
Oh, come on.
No, because that makes perfect fucking sense. Because the character was, and this is gonna, and I don't want this to sound like this is not a white savior film. Like this is not a film where they got to get the. So he wasn't that, because it's not that. The film really does center the black women, and again, I can't stress enough how good this film is. And I highly recommend watching it. But that's kind of what his character was. They made this fictional white guy to be the white guy to lessen the racism that was at NASA.
To break down some walls for her that she could not break down herself.
Right.
I get it. It's just, so I guess we've hit a point now with these films, right? These historically based, these films they need to open up with based on elements of history, right? Because whereas you would have a film maybe like Selma, which is more true to the event, or even The Help, which may be more true to the event than this. I'm not sure. We have to be able now to allow more fantastical elements in these films purely for the purpose of entertainment, right? Because that's essentially what they were going for here with creating his character like that. Showing the stories of these women kind of this way and not really developing a whole lot of depth to their characters beyond the situations they were dealing with pertinent to this NASA launch.
Yeah, looking it up, apparently he plays a combination of 3 heads of NASA. So they basically put 3 different characters into one with his Al Harrison. And that's what happened there. So, yeah.
Does kind of make you wonder what were their demeanors.
Yeah.
For them to combine 3 figureheads into 1 figurehead and him still be an all over the place kind of confused, it seems, figurehead. Like, God bless John Glenn, because if there is anything close to a white savior in this film, it's him.
I wouldn't say a white savior, because I didn't really get the white savior.
I'm just using a term that people are familiar with. I'm not giving him that actual term.
The white Negro liaison.
Right.
which I find
Yeah.
really interesting, which is why I was so curious about John Glenn, because this guy is from Ohio. Now, this dude died today. He's 95 years old. You are not escaping Ohio without having, like, an extensive history of using the N-word. No way. No, you don't come out clean.
But again,
I
they
just
make
think
him.
he liked black women.
Yeah.
That's what I got from his character in the film. Like, he was into black women.
I mean, that's the one thing that I've seen about these films. Like I said, compared to a film I saw earlier this year, that kind of, I think Race came out earlier this year. This does not make the same mistakes Race does, where it kind of just makes the character so, the white characters so understanding. Like the coach in that film was just like so understanding. It was like, oh yeah, I'm fight for that side. And this film does a lot of better job of centering the black characters, and you get to see Katherine Johnson's family, her 3 little girls, her relationship trying to develop with what was Ali? What was his character's name? I can't remember.
I don't remember what his name was.
Jim Johnson. You have Aldous Hodge there, play Levi Jackson, Mary Jackson's husband, and him, and you get a little bit of that. So you get the frustration from Henson when she's running back and forth. Like at one point, she has to run to the bathroom, those 3/4 of a mile, because there's no colored bathroom in the building she's in. She's doing it in the rain, and then she complains. There's that subtle racism of them when she gets coffee. At one point, they end up next day they put in a colored coffee pot for her to get coffee from. Her being the only black person, let alone woman,
in the building.
Well, in the building, but in that room.
I think she might have been the only black person in that building.
Could have been, because there's no
except for the
colored,
people collecting trash.
Right, because there's no colored bathroom in there, so it wouldn't be that far of a stretch to believe that. But she's also
there was no bathroom on that side of campus.
Right. So
right, like
right.
That. Yeah.
So,
I think she might have been the solo Negro.
Right. So I mean, but even beyond that, just in that room, she, other than the other woman who's basically the secretary, the white woman who's the secretary, she's the only woman in that room either. You know, and she's in there trying. So it's like they do a good job of showing, what she's working on, how smart she is, and the struggle she has to deal with. But there are those moments where you're just like, yeah, I feel like there were probably a lot more racism and blatant racism in that room. You can't tell me that a room full of white guys, no matter how important this job wasn't more racist. The character of Al Harrison, like you said, is it makes so much more sense to me now to find out that he's a fictional character, because he was too perfect. He said and did all the right things when you needed them to be done. Didn't make sense. You had John Glenn, which again, I can believe some of this stuff, but again, it's like he was also a little bit too perfect. He shows up and they're rushing around to shake people's hands. He was like, oh, I gotta go talk to everybody. I gotta go talk to the black woman that you have there separated from everyone else. It's just
he was definitely trying to have his Chris Evans moment.
Yeah.
With the bright white teeth showing every time he was on screen, and his just adorable affection or affinity towards the black people especially.
Right. What were you gonna say?
Even to the point where they get personal phone calls.
Yeah, he's requesting the girl to do his numbers.
Can't remember her name now.
Mm-hmm.
But
no. But
give me the girl.
About.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's like it's still got that air of being too clean. And
Brad
I think
Pitt from 12 Years a Slave.
It's very clean.
I never watched 12 Years a Slave.
It's one of the happier black films about black history before the civil rights era that I've seen. Probably.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think is, again, it's a great film. It centers black women. Everything he's saying that, like I said, it's not like Race, where I was just like, oh god damn this film. This film does it all. But again, it just feels like one of those things where, why do we have to clean up and be too clean when we're dealing with the most racist parts of our society? Like, come on. Now, it's just, I don't know. It's still, it wasn't as not the most egregious I've seen of that, but it still has that feel to it. and maybe that's just me being overly sensitive right now, but it's just it still has that there. I think it makes up for the fact that usually when you have when you're doing that kind of stuff, you're not centering black women as much as it does. So in that respect, it makes up for it. Because again, I mean, you get 3 black women here. It's their story to the point that outside of the magical white dudes who show up in John Glenn and Al Harrison, there's nobody else of importance in the film. I mean, even the black men in their lives aren't as important. Ali plays an important role. There's some cute moments with them and that romance developing. Aldous Hodge is just kind of there. And then they don't really use
He's
him.
just scared for Janelle Monáe. Like, girl, somebody gonna snatch you up, throw you in the back of a truck.
But then he's also weirdly at some points like very militant at one point too. And it's just again, he's not developed enough for you to care. And I think that maybe if we had a Mary Jackson film, we would have gotten more of that. So, but there's just no room. There's just no room or time for it. So again, it's not a bad thing. Like, hey, listen, we didn't get more of this black guy over here, but you got way more of the black women, and I'm okay with that. So
yeah, I think it's just the fact that this seems to be a different grain of based on a true story black film, right? Which I don't have a problem with because I don't know. Is this a Disney film?
No.
Is this from? It's not Disney, right? What studio is this?
Let me see.
Because it's very.
It feels like Disney.
It does. It feels very family friendly. And it comes out on Christmas.
But does it though?
Were, like freaking.
It does. Like it feels very family friendly.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I thought these
even to the point where and this might be real that
they managed to put some magic on that cop at the beginning of the movie.
They did. It was bro. He started off about to be and they were in Virginia. Like, let's not overlook this. They weren't in D.C. They weren't in Maryland, okay? They were in fucking Virginia. They were in the southern part of Virginia, okay?
Yeah.
And he just kind of like, well, let me be y'all escort. And I was just like, because at first he rolls up on them.
Put his hand on his nightstick first.
Right. He was ready to beat these women, and then it was like, well, now I'm going to be your escort. And it turns into this. It's a funny scene, and it's enjoyable to watch, and it's very entertaining, but it's very, very family-friendly and lighthearted, even to the point where, I don't know if this is true, I'm sure she did have 3 daughters, but even that scene felt Disney-ish. When she walked into the bedroom, and the 3 daughters there, and it was just so family-friendly. It was very, I'm surprised it's actually not from Disney Studios.
So here's the thing. It's 20th Century Fox. Here's why I'm not surprised. This is why I'm not surprised it's not Disney. What you guys are describing hasn't been Disney in a while. Like, Disney hasn't made those kind of magical, happy-go-lucky films in a long time. Like, think about the other Disney film we saw this year that involved black people. Queen of Katwe. Ain't nothing magical about that film.
Queen of Katwe was the first time I seen Disney do anything that raw.
That's what I'm saying.
With a black film, like with black characters and whatnot. That's the first time I've seen.
That's what I'm saying. Disney's not making these kind of films no more. Like, I can tell when I see films like I've seen this, started seeing this with animated films. I can tell immediately what films are Disney and which ones aren't, because Disney's been going way more raw with this stuff. And so immediately I saw this film, I was like, yeah, Disney didn't do this. Because if Disney had done this film, Al Harrison's character wouldn't have existed. They would have given you the 3 white guys. They wouldn't have mashed them up. I think there would have been way more racism, way more blatant racism. It would have been a lot more raw. And I
don't think Disney would make that drastic of a jump that fast. Like, I don't think they'd all of a sudden become Lionsgate.
We saw Queen of Katwe, yo.
We did.
I think that they want kids to come out and see this movie. So,
and this film is dropping on Christmas, man. This isn't.
Yeah.
Like, all of that that plays a huge part into. Do we want to drop the Django-ish Hidden Figures film, or do we want to drop a family-friendly, soft version of Hidden Figures that people will leave happy?
Films that center around Black histories that aren't so brutally oppressive, so it's almost refreshing to have Oh, I haven't seen Queen of Katwe, so I really don't have a basis of comparison. But from what you guys are telling me, if you're going to take a multitude of children to go see a movie dealing with African Americans, exceptional African Americans in incredible times in America, this would be the one to,
I think we
see.
painted a bad picture of Queen of Cataway then, because Queen Cataway wasn't raw as much as it sounds like we're painting it. Queen of Cataway was raw in some of the conversation that happens that only adults would have picked up what is actually being said, right? It was actually moments where usually in a film they wouldn't flat out say what they were saying. Okay, as an adult you would know what they were talking about. Kids wouldn't really understand that until later because they haven't been introduced to it. In Queen of Cataway, there are a couple of scenes where there are adult conversations happening from the child, where she's basically acknowledging that if I don't do this, this will be my future. And it is a very dark, and it's a future about prostitution. That's what it is.
Yeah,
and she says it. She flat out says, "I will." She doesn't say I'll have to be a prostitute, but she's basically like, "I'll have to sell my body, to survive if I don't learn chess." And that's as raw as Queen of Cataway gets. It's not like they're dragging.
Well, I mean, there's also
Africans through the street or anything.
Well, there's also the fact that the class system and the head of the school system not wanting the poor kids to join the chess tournament because they might have diseases and things like that. Like, again, that film is. I'm just saying that film is PG also, and you can let your kids go see that film, and they don't hold anything back. I mean, granted, they're not out there, going super raw, but it's a PG film. They don't bring in the white savior. They don't try to, ignore some of the horribleness that goes on and the rawness that goes on there. And that's a Disney film. I'm just saying that when I watch Hidden Figures, it's definitely made to not. It's made. I'll be honest. It's made to make it so that white people don't feel too bad about watching this film. They don't. If you're a white person, you're gonna watch this film and go, oh, okay. Well, see, I'm the Al Harrison, or I'm the John Glenn in that film, and I think that's the one part that we got to get away from with these films is sometimes there is no good white person in the film. But, like, they always feel like when they make these films, they have to put a good white person in there, because if they don't, white people ain't going to want to see it, because they don't want to deal with the fact that...
I think a reality of that, too, Kriss, is you can't create a film where white people had to open up doors for these people.
No,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So even when you're going to have these problematic characters that to white people at a certain point within these films is gonna seem like a nice white person because they opened up a door that's just that's inescapable. Like, I'll
put it this way:
change the way white people are gonna view that aspect of these films at this point.
You could do it like Selma, where listen, LBJ opened up some doors, but that was not a good dude, yo. Like,
and remember when they complained about him?
Exactly.
Remember what happened on social media after that?
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I'm just explaining why they did that in this film. And I'm just saying that I don't think that that's the right way to go.
But I will say that they did push back, though, because like that scene in the women's bathroom after they were integrated, and Viola Davis's character runs in the dolphin teeth.
You mean Octavia Spencer? See, you're getting all the black women looking alike. See?
You can't put all the black women in this film. Yes. It looks like they're all there, but they're not.
Okay, yeah. So she bumps into dolphin teeth, and she says something to the effect of, I never had anything against you people, and I'm really a good person. And then Octavia was like, I'm sure you think that.
Octavia hit her with that ether. That really wouldn't have happened in a film. Like, it usually in films like this, we get the I know. It's just trying times.
Exactly.
And the woman would have walked away. But
Yeah, no.
Octavia Spencer to actually hit her
Dolphin
with
Teef's
ether.
husband would have been in there in his Klan's hood and posse.
Yeah.
And
Well, and that's why.
Firebomb her
this,
house.
again, this is in Virginia. Like, this is the most delightfully racist version of Virginia that I have ever seen.
And that's why I say that it's still good. Like, it didn't bother me to the point of, oh, there's a horrible film, no one's it. Because they have moments like that where, you know, they definitely lighten it up a little bit, but they still put enough of those raw moments in there that you know that, all right, no, it still wasn't all great.
I just try to figure out how Octavia.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I was just trying to figure out how Octavia Spencer got away with saying a lot of the stuff that she said in this film to white people versus what happened to Oprah Winfrey in Color Purple. Like, it's just shit. Like, she said stuff, and I was just like, Lord, they're gonna beat this woman. They are gonna drag this woman outside. And they're gonna bust up her eye. And that just does not happen. White people are just so like throwing me back by it.
Yeah, but so this is whereas, the likelihood of that actually happening back in that time probably wouldn't have happened, but it is bringing into, I guess, in the conscious of a white person's mind, what we feel and think at that moment, but couldn't express then at the time because of how, terrible white lash would be. So they can go away thinking that what they think how their treatment of black folks are, whether they think that they're good or not, it's still terribly, inhumane. And so they can't walk away thinking that that shit is cute. So definitely a fictive portrayal, but now that it's the 21st century, you can talk back, now they know. So something might click with them before they say some crazy shit like that. And hopefully that'll be like the sort of chin check.
Right.
Before they get chin checked.
Well, I'd actually appreciate more chin checking in films then. Since we've had to watch films where niggas had to be silent, or they get a whooping, or a hanging, or a burning, or a skinning, or whatevering. Now I feel like we should only make films about slavery and civil rights and black struggle where black people actually say what the fuck they're thinking or what needs to be said to the white people in those times. And the white people just stand there and go, huh.
Well, that's a good thing. I think that's one of the good things they did with this film is a lot of those times you get these three women and they do get to say what's on their mind. And maybe that's not something that they could have done right at that time, but in the film they allowed them to do that. Like especially Janoma.
That Taraji P explosion is real.
Well, she's
going for an Oscar.
Yeah, that explosion that she had is really good. Janoma Monáe's character always speaking on her breath and what she says. That's always there too. So
right,
it's like
even the shit she said to the councilman or whatever he was, I was kind of like, come on now, this would not have worked.
The judge at when he approved her. Yeah. I mean,
that would not have worked. Like I don't, and maybe that's the real story. I don't know.
Charming as hell.
Who was?
I don't know. She was charming, and she got it done.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Again, This is Virginia. This is Virginia. Them Bamas is not taking that hot air from you and just rolling with it, okay? It just is a different mentality of it is really a you try to play me nigga type mentality. It is
that's
not
the other thing too. I will say
it's very insulting to kind of do that.
Yeah. When
you go to certain regions of the country to white people.
Yeah, and again, this is a product of it being a PG film and stuff like that. I just can't. You can't sell me on this film and there's no niggers being said in the film. I just like that is if there's one legit complaint I have that kind of took me out is not enough use of the N-word. Yeah,
I'm telling you, this is a family. May not be Disney family friendly. It is family friendly. Though. Yeah, it is very Christmas Day movie.
No, and again, I think it's a really great film. I think it's a very important film. I think people should definitely go and see it. What would you guys give it out of 10?
I'll let one of y'all go first.
Oh, goddamn.
I'll give it 8 pairs of Taraji P's 1960s high heels out of 10.
I was gonna give it a 7.5.
That's where I didn't want to say that.
You know what I
I was gonna get burned alive. But that's exactly where I'm sitting at. 7.5 Janelle Monáe eye rolls.
Yeah.
Because despite this joint being very charming and enthusiastic, full of enthusiasm and telling these women's stories, just me knowing and being from Virginia.
Right. Right. I mean,
it was just I'm just watching some of this shit and I'm like,
I think
this is very, very,
and I
very, very happy slave. Like, so, like this is very happy. Separation times.
And I want to let people know, like,
this is very happy separatism.
When you go to see this film, and you should definitely go see this film, you're probably going to give it a full point higher than what we did. We saw this film, and we reviewed this film last week. I actually think our range would be higher. We saw it last week. I think because you leave the film and you really, really enjoy it. It feels good. You're happy to see all these black women on screen. You're happy to hear their stories. You think it's important. It's really, really great. But then when you sit down and think about it a lot and you start getting the other things coming in, like what Phenom is saying, you're like, wait a minute, they were in Virginia. And wait a minute. And then you start finding out that, wait, Al Harrison was a made-up fictional character and wasn't a real character. And you're like, now that does explain his magical qualities and how he was always involved in all this stuff. And you start asking your question. You're like, okay, they really did, kind of pull back a little bit from what these women endured. And you're going to be like, yeah, I mean, it's still a great film, still an important film, still a film you should go see. But it makes you want to, and if anything else, it'll make you go out there and want to read up on these women and get their full stories, all three of them. And
not just that, I think it adds actual longevity to the film.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is such an entertaining film with 3 great lead black actresses
mm-hmm.
that you're gonna be at Thanksgiving dinner next year and Christmas this year and holidays with your family members, and your auntie is gonna be like, hey, throw on that Hidden Figures. Let's watch. Girl, I love that movie. I love me some Hidden Figures.
Yeah, that's definitely, you are dead on the money about that, Phenom, because this is an immensely rewatchable movie. And it's more rewatchable. Like, okay, so most of the black movies that we've seen in like the past year, or reviews that I've heard you guys talk about in the past like 2 or 3, that are predominantly black films, are films you go see once, that is all. Most of the times begrudgingly because you have to. And so it's refreshing to have a film that you would want to see over and over again just by the strength of the story itself.
Yeah.
Given the time period, yeah, most
right.
like you're saying, like
given its flaws and all of that, yeah.
Like the worst this gets is the way Sheldon treats her. That's pretty much that's probably as bad as it gets. They talk about bombings and stuff on the TV and things happening, but nothing directly happens to your main characters that is
except for like
as awful as the times have shown us, right? Like, this is a much easier film to watch than like The Help.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know black women who love watching The Help. I can't stand The Help.
Oh, no. I would never watch. I've never watched The Help, and I don't ever plan on watching The Help. I'd watch this film 10 times. Like I said,
I have walked into to other family members' aunties' houses, my auntie's houses, and that had been on, and they are gathered around the TV watching it, waiting for that scene where Octavia Spencer feeds that woman that shit pie. Like they love that film. They enjoy watching it despite all of the fucking issues that are happening in front of you with that film. Not just in the film itself, but with the story in general. When you know like how much these women actually got paid for those books or did not get paid for those books, and if you know the truth about like Emma Stone's character and shit like that, it does not make that the best damn film about some black women getting on over some black women having to go back to being a poor ass situation. That damn what's the actress's name? I can't think of her. God, I can't even think of her name now from How to Get Away with Murder. What? I'm losing my mind.
Oh, Viola Davis.
Viola Davis, that scene where she walks away from that job and then after all that shit she went through is one of the most, that scene made me so damn angry. This film does not have any scenes like that. There's no scene in this film where I was like, I hate white people so goddamn much. There are films where I'm just like, white people don't want to give niggas credit for shit. That's pretty much as far as I got with this film. White people don't want to give us credit for shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, folks, there you guys have it. I definitely highly recommend this film on Christmas. Definitely one of those films you can go take your family out to Christmas on, because yeah, you probably by this time would have probably seen Rogue One. So yeah, go see this film. And you guys have anything else you want to say about it?
No, it's a good film. Again, shout out to Pharrell for feeling like he could sing through the whole soundtrack. That's his solo album for this year.
Yeah, and Rest in the Stars, John Glenn. A black woman propelled you solo into flight. You're welcome.
There you guys have it. Find the rest of the reviews on movietrailerreviews.net or mtrnetwork.net. Search for Movie Trailer Reviews or MTR Network on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. I think the next film, actually it's two. The next two films you'll hear as review are Rogue One. We do that on Monday, and I think that embargoes up the next day. And Collateral Beauty, which I think also comes out on Christmas, doesn't it? Or around that time. So.
I don't know about Collateral Beauty.
Yeah, I know, man. I don't
really don't know about this.
Man, dude, I'm with you on that one, man. It can go either way, man. It can go either way. It's either gonna be really, really good, or it's gonna be a what the fuck type of movie, man. There's no in between on Collateral Beauty.
You're not gonna trick me into seeing a Helen Mirren and Will Smith film with this premise. It just this Scrooge version of Seven. What was that film that Will Smith did a minute ago? Oh my God, it was the
7 pounds.
Huh?
7 pounds.
7 pounds. Yes, that's what this shit feels like. The Scrooge version of 7 pounds for Christmas.
I don't know, man. Here's the thing. You know what saves it right now? We get to see Rogue One earlier that day, so it's like I'll already be in a good mood.
They're on the same day?
Yeah, they're the same day. Yeah, at the same theater.
Oh my God.
Same day, same theater. Yeah.
Same theater.
Yeah, they're both. Yeah. We'll talk after this. Yeah. All right, folks. Thank you guys very much for listening. Until next time, we're out of here. Peace.